Hi, so let me tell you a story about agents. Firstly, I've got to say that a lot of agents, of course, very reputable, very important role they play and can be really helpful in a young player's development and looking after a player. So I've absolutely a lot of respect for agents. And as you see from the book, I know quite a few and I have a lot of time for them. But you have to be careful. There's a lot of people out there who say they're agents and they're not. And you've really got to watch out for the scams. So the story is that not that long ago, a couple of months ago, my wife and I were driving in the car. I'd been out working on a Sunday morning. This was later on a Sunday. And a phone call was from the security at Cobham training ground, Chelsea's training ground. And the security guy was saying, Chris, there's a lad here turned up asking for you. This was on a Sunday evening. And I said, well, I'm not there. And neither is anybody else, as far as I know. And he said, well, he's talking about a trial or something. So I asked him to put him on. And what it was, this lad was a player who had come into one of my trial events, showcase events a couple of years ago, actually, and was a decent player, a Swiss lad. But he'd gone back to Switzerland and played in various places. And he'd hooked up with a so-called agent. And this agent had taken money off him and promised him, come over to the UK and we'll get you trials and, everything will be fine, sort of thing. And he came over, and of course, there was no agent there, no one to meet him at the airport, nothing. And the only place he knew where to go was Cobham, the training ground, because he'd been there a couple of years ago, and the only name he knew was mine. So we tried to help him where we could and referred him to a couple of clubs and so on. But it was a real lesson, I think, a sobering lesson on what can happen with so-called agents. So I would say be very careful. Do your due diligence on who is saying they're an agent and check their track record and make sure they're genuine, and then they can help. But otherwise, you do run the risk of getting ripped off.